I shelled out the money for my sister's wedding venue, fully expecting I'd be standing beside her as maid of honor. Instead, I got cut from the lineup entirely. "You're not a bridesmaid," she giggled. "You're more like a sponsor." "She didn't uninvite you," my mom chimed in, trying to spin it. "She just redefined your role." I didn't argue. I just quietly made a little update to the wedding slideshow. My sister started shrieking the moment it hit the screen. But let's rewind for a second, because when someone tells you you've been reframed, and they don't mean with a flattering Instagram filter, your brain needs a second, or several, to catch up. It all kicked off the way emotional disasters usually do, with good intentions and a regrettable group chat that should have never existed. For about half a year, wedding planning had been in total meltdown mode, and like an idiot, I offered to help. I told myself it was out of love. I reminded myself that family sticks together. Besides, I've got a background in event planning and a weird love for spreadsheets. I figured, what could possibly go sideways? Turns out, a lot. My sister Jasmine is 3 years younger than me, but somehow she acts like that makes her the eldest. I'm 37. She's 29. And she's got the ego of Caesar with the conflict resolution skills of a caffeinated seagull fighting over a French fry. Still, I thought maybe this wedding would be a turning point. Maybe it'd be a way to reconnect, or at least prove, once and for all, that I was the dependable one. The calm, organized sibling who didn't have meltdowns over the symbolic meaning of duck versus salmon. I covered the venue deposit because she forgot her wallet at the tour. Then she forgot it again. And again. For nearly a month. So I handled everything: contracts, vendor emails, digital invites, the playlist, the slideshow. I even handed over my personal wedding planner template, complete with color-coded tabs. She renamed it Chaos Spreadsheet Master Final. She actually said, "Use this one." It was draining, but I'll admit, kind of satisfying. Until that one Tuesday morning when I got a text that said, "Hey, quick update, we simplified the wedding party. Hope that's cool." Naturally, I thought someone had dropped out. Maybe Juliet bailed again, the friend who calls monogamy a colonial leftover. But nope. An hour later, Jasmine called. She was suspiciously cheerful, the kind of tone that's basically a red flag. "So don't freak out," she started. Which is universal sister code for, "I did something awful and need you to manage my emotional mess." I took a breath. "Okay, so we decided to streamline the bridal party. Keep it close. More intimate. Less like corporate, you know." She mentioned an article she read on emotional minimalism. Emotional minimalism? Sure. So when you say streamline, I asked, do you mean we're just keeping it to people who really vibe? You get it. It's not personal. She said not personal the same way someone tries to soften the blow of firing you from your own life. I had become surplus. A line item on a spreadsheet she merged and moved on from. "So I'm not your maid of honor anymore?" "Well, you're not important," she chirped. "You're just not in the bridal party. But you're still our biggest cheerleader. Like, a sponsor. A sponsor." As if I'd donated to a pledge drive and was now owed a thank you mug. Before I could even respond, our mom, Denise, yes, that's actually her name, called out from the background. I could hear her stirring tea, her voice set to default denial mode. "She didn't uninvite you," Mom insisted. "She just reframed your role." And in that moment, something inside me went still. Not angry. Not sad. Just that eerie calm that settles in right before everything breaks. I didn't argue. Didn't even sigh. Just said, "Okay," and hung up the call. Then I turned to my laptop. Opened the wedding folder. She hadn't revoked my access. Classic Jasmine, always forgetting the practical stuff. There it was, the slideshow I'd spent weeks building. Carefully synced music, transitions polished to the second. It was supposed to be a surprise. Something she'd asked me to bring my creative vision to, which is Jasmine speak for do all the work and let me take credit. The wedding was that Saturday. I wasn't invited. That part was crystal clear. But since Grandma June couldn't travel, the whole thing was being live-streamed. My mom had kindly offered, "You can still watch from home. We'll wave to you." How generous. So I watched. From my couch. In sweatpants, hair in a bun, popcorn in hand, basically the emotionally scorched version of a sports commentator. I logged in 5 minutes before the ceremony kicked off. The venue looked gorgeous. Technically, my venue, the one I paid for. There were flowers everywhere, a string quartet, gold rim signs with quotes like "Two souls, one story." Very sweet. Assuming you hadn't seen the group chat where Jasmine called her fiancé Logan a golden retriever in human form, loyal, but not exactly Mensa material. I sipped my drink and waited. The ceremony unfolded without a hitch. They said their vows. There were tears. My dad even quoted The Notebook, which felt like a war crime against dignity, but whatever. They kissed. Everyone clapped. Cameras flashed. Then came the reception. There was a quick mic issue. Jasmine snapped at a staffer off-screen, but soon the lights dimmed and the projector turned on. Slideshow time. The first photos rolled. Baby Jasmine in a tutu, her and Logan on their first date, a brunch pic with her fake laughing. Guests awed. Mom dabbed her eyes. And then, the switch. I'd left the music. Kept the transitions. But the next photo wasn't from childhood. It was a screenshot of her texts, her words, her font, stuff she never thought anyone would see. I leaned forward. On the screen, her face lit up, but not with joy, with sheer panic. She started screaming before the second screenshot even faded in. And me? I just sat there, watching, from the couch, popcorn in hand. What else was I supposed to do? I used to think being the older sibling came with perks. Like you'd get a certificate or a badge or something, firstborn, entitled to respect. Spoiler alert, you don't. What you get is pressure. Expectations no one explains. And a little sister who can wield charm like a deadly weapon. Jasmine's always been the golden child. That's not even me being bitter anymore, it's just fact. She came out blonde and wide-eyed and screaming in a way my parents somehow found adorable. I, on the other hand, came out asking questions, and apparently that wasn't nearly as cute. Even as a toddler, Jasmine had this gift for tossing out insults so sugar-coated you'd actually say thank you afterward. One time, Jasmine told our neighbor, Mrs. Langford, that her perfume reminded her of dead flowers left in a warm closet. Then, with that syrupy smile of hers, added, but in a romantic way. Mrs. Langford actually handed her a $5 bill. Me? I told the same neighbor once that her lawn flamingos looked like they escaped from a horror film, and I got grounded for being disrespectful to artistic expression. That pretty much captured the vibe in our house growing up. As kids, I'd do every chore from top to bottom, and Jasmine would swoop in last minute to fluff a couple throw pillows and get praised for having an eye for design. I'd bust my tail getting my homework done, hers too, and finish the science project for the group. Then she'd show up with a glittery poster board title and somehow score an A+ for leadership. And this wasn't just about school. I remember one Thanksgiving when Mom hosted the whole family. I spent the day elbow-deep in potatoes, basting the turkey, stirring, peeling, baking, sweating in the kitchen like I was competing on a cooking show. Jasmine floated around in a cozy oversized sweater with a vague quote printed on it, snapping selfies and posting Instagram stories captioned, "Love and carbs turkey sparkles." Then she sat down at the table, took one bite of mashed potatoes and wrinkled her nose. EW. Did someone use skim milk? She didn't get scolded. Dad actually laughed and said, "That's my girl." Always telling it like it is. Meanwhile, I was still in the kitchen, scraping sweet potato goo off a casserole dish, like some forgotten knockoff of Cinderella. It's not that they hated me. It's more like they saw me as infrastructure. Like a utility. A support beam. Always there. Dependable. Boring. Jasmine, though? She was a full production. Sparkly chaos dressed up as charm and drama. She didn't just walk into a room, she arrived. She never lost an argument. She just turned it into a monologue about how we were all misreading her energy. The first time I caught her trash-talking someone, we were kids. I was 14, she was 10. I overheard her telling a classmate that our cousin Tessa wore training bras with training wheels and smelled like tomato soup. I told Mom, thinking cruelty had consequences. I figured grown-ups would step in. Instead, Mom sighed and said, "Don't be a narc. You're older. Let her figure it out." When Jasmine posted a TikTok roasting her best friend's laugh using a sound clip she secretly recorded, I told her it was cruel. She rolled her eyes and said, "You just don't get Gen Z irony." In college, she wore my suede boots to a party without asking, spilled jungle juice on them, then shrugged it off like it was no big deal. "They were too beige anyway," she said. I actually did you a favor. I asked Dad to make her pay me back. His response? "She doesn't owe you. It's just shoes. Let it go." But it was never about the shoes. Not really. It was about the fact that she could do pretty much anything, lie, embarrass people, steamroll boundaries, and still walk away with a pat on the back. I could breathe too loud, and suddenly I was the problem. There was one Christmas that kind of sealed it for me. I got socks and a self-help book called Tidy Mind, Tidy Life. Jasmine got monogrammed luggage and a surprise trip to Costa Rica. When I blinked a little too long, Mom said, "Don't make that face. You said you wanted practical gifts." I did want practical gifts. But you know what I never asked for? A lecture wrapped in holiday paper. They didn't get it. Or maybe they did, and just didn't care. Either way, I didn't fully realize how warped it all was until I moved out and started therapy. That's when I finally understood I wasn't crazy. I just spent my whole life being gaslit by people who smiled while doing it. And then came the phase. That's what I call the 3-year stretch, where Jasmine couldn't keep a job because she was exploring her purpose. She tried being a yoga instructor, then pottery, then intuitive styling, where she charged people $80 to say things like, "You should try neutrals," and "Let's examine your emotional connection to cardigans." While she soul-searched, I was working full-time in operations and quietly paying her phone bill. Because it was just temporary. Because you're the stable one and she's still finding her way. Because, in our family, supporting each other actually meant me footing the bill for her latest reinvention. Eventually, the requests stopped sounding like requests. They turned into expectations. "You'll cover her deposit, right? Can she crash at your place for a few weeks? Can you co-sign her loan? She just needs space to find her rhythm." But Jasmine didn't want to find rhythm. She wanted to dance through life while someone else paid the DJ. And me? I kept handing over the credit card, hoping somewhere deep down that maybe if I gave enough, sacrificed enough, they'd finally see me. Treat me like more than a walking safety net. That's why I agreed to help with the wedding. That's why I didn't flinch when she asked me to cover the venue deposit until her cashback bonus came through. That's why I stayed up past 2 a.m. tinkering with the slideshow transitions, because she wanted the kiss photo to hit right on the chorus drop. Looking back, yeah, it was stupid. But at the time, it felt like maybe, just maybe, if I pulled it off, if the wedding looked like something out of a Pinterest board, she'd turn to me and say, "I couldn't have done this without you." Instead, she looked me in the eye and said, "You're not a bridesmaid. You're like a sponsor." And that was the moment the last little illusion I'd been clinging to finally snapped. I didn't feel anger, not even sadness. Just this bone-deep weariness, like cold, had settled into my chest and decided to stay. Because it wasn't just about the wedding. It was about every birthday I spent by myself while she threw dinner parties with her chosen family. Every vacation she posted about that I never even knew she took. Every time she listed me as a reference on a credit application without telling me. Every time she talked crap about me to people I introduced her to, and I still defended her. She sparkled her way through life with glitter and entitlement. And I was always the one left sweeping up after the parade. So no, I didn't scream when she cut me from the bridal party. I didn't start drama or guilt trip her or write a cryptic Facebook rant about certain people. I just opened up my laptop, stared at that wedding slideshow, and made a few quiet edits. Not messy ones. Not mean ones. Just honest ones. If they were gonna reframe my role, then fine, I'd control the lighting. The first slide was soft. Innocent. A gentle white fade into a picture of Jasmine and Logan hiking, back when their relationship still looked like a filtered Instagram post. Her favorite song, an acoustic cover of Electric Love, started playing right on cue. People sighed. Grandma June clapped. Someone in the crowd actually whispered, like they'd just seen a kitten stretch. Slide 2. Baby Jasmine in a pink tutu gnawing on a stuffed duck. Slide 3. Prom night. Slide 5. Jasmine and Logan in matching denim jackets with the caption, "My forever adventure." Exactly the kind of picture-perfect moment she wanted. Slide 6 popped up, a group selfie of Jasmine and her bridesmaids at the bachelorette party in Palm Springs. Everyone was all smiles and sun-kissed. Slide 7? Same picture, just zoomed in. But this time, it had a little addition, a text bubble. That's when things took a hard left. The bubble was a screenshot pulled from a private group chat Jasmine clearly forgot was synced to her cloud storage. Kira looks like she stole her dress from the clearance bin at Hobby Lobby. Kira, maid of honor, standing stage left, visibly flinched. I was still on the couch, popcorn untouched in my lap. Slide 9 came next. Another pic from that same weekend. Another quote plastered across it. Zoe needs to stop trying so hard to be funny. It's a wedding, not open mic night. Someone sitting next to Zoe choked on their champagne. A weird silence fell over the room. You could practically hear the confusion fighting with the laughter. Then slide 9 hit. No more photos. This time, it was a screen recording. A slow, steady scroll through texts Jasmine had sent to her best friend, Marissa. Honestly, I'm just keeping the lineup cute for the photos. These girls are not it. Can't wait to cut ties after the honeymoon. So much dead weight. Dead weight. I heard someone gasp on the live stream. Like an actual gasp. Sharp. Cinematic. Perfectly timed. The room on screen went dead quiet. The slideshow? Still rolling. Slide 10, a video. Jasmine, lying in bed on the phone, clearly not aware she was being recorded. Logan is sweet, yeah, but I could have done better. I settled. Whatever. I just want to get some good Instagram content in before I turn 40. No music this time. Just silence. Pure, suffocating silence and the sound of reality slapping 100 people in the face all at once. Logan, sweet, awkward, golden retriever Logan, was sitting at the head table, staring straight ahead like a ghost had just whispered in his ear. Jasmine shot up from her seat. I could see her yelling toward the AV booth, lips moving fast. But the slideshow didn't stop. Slide 11. A carousel of Instagram DM screenshots. Can't believe we're inviting Aunt Sheila. She smells like expired butter. Only bringing cousin Nina because she's hot and makes the guest list look aspirational. If my sister thinks she's getting a toast, she's delusional. She'll probably cry and make it about her boring little job. Someone off camera shouted, "Hey." Probably the boring little job in question. Jasmine was marching toward the screen now, fuming. Then it happened. The final video started playing. Full volume. Crystal clear. It was a mashup. Clips from voicemails, TikToks, offhand recordings. Jasmine calling the wedding planner a discount Pinterest witch, mocking the officiant's lisp, referring to the florist as trauma in a peasant blouse. Then came a voice memo she'd sent to her friend Taryn. It's not like I'm paying for this thing. My sister's footing the bill. He's got, zero boundaries. Honestly, if I fake cry, she'll probably pay for the honeymoon too. And that was the turning point. That's when every face in that venue turned to look at her. Even the DJ froze. Jasmine stood there, one heel in hand, blinking like the fairy lights above her had suddenly become stadium spotlights. I could almost see the thought process happening behind her mascara-streaked eyes. Deny. Downplay. Distract. She chose deflect. "This is a prank," she shouted. "It's fake. Someone edited this." Back on my couch, I sipped my wine. "Sure, Jasmine. Blame the deepfakes." Then someone, pretty sure it was Logan Aunt, stood up and said, "Actually, I've seen that text. She sent it to me by accident once." Jasmine flushed red. "You're all being manipulated," she barked. "She's jealous." She didn't say my name, but the finger might as well have pointed straight at me. Then Logan stood up. His voice was soft, shaky. "Is that true?" he asked. "You really said all that?" Jasmine's eyes darted around like she was looking for a trapdoor. "You're seriously gonna believe a slideshow over me," she snapped. Logan looked down at his plate. The DJ, unsure what to do, turned off the music entirely. "You said you settled," he whispered. "Before 40. It was a joke," she hissed. "You also said I was a placeholder with decent credit." Yikes. The crowd started murmuring. Chairs scraped the floor. Champagne glasses clinked. People were quietly gathering their stuff. From the back, someone muttered, "I'm not staying for cake." Another, "Did she just call me deadweight?" Zoe stormed past the camera, heels in hand. Kira left crying. Nina, the aspirational hot cousin, looked like she was trying to decide between laughing and vomiting. Then, the final slide. The piece de resistance. My spreadsheet. Every invoice. Every dollar. Labeled, color-coded, itemized. Venue. Paid by Rachel. $7,500. Florals. Paid by Rachel. $2,200. DJ. Paid by Rachel. $1,500. Slideshow services. Free. You're welcome. I even included the remaining balance, what she still owed me. Makeup artist deposit. Her emergency dental cleaning. The neon sign that read the Pierces he 2021, which I assumed she'd want back, now that the marriage was looking shaky. When the screen finally faded to black, only the catering crew and my parents were still seated. My mom sat frozen in place. Dad was furiously typing something on his phone. And Jasmine? She was in the center of the empty dance floor, clutching one heel, mascara running, screaming at the wedding planner, who had already started packing up the projector. I watched the whole thing from home. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I just ate my popcorn. Because sometimes the truth doesn't need a speech. It just needs a little time. And some solid lighting. You'd think the chaos would have ended there with the wedding. But no, that wasn't a meltdown. It was a demolition. Slow. Controlled. Surgical. I didn't just ruin a party, I took down the whole rotted structure they'd been building for years. By the time the 2-hour mark hit, the dance floor was empty. The cake had been boxed up and untouched. The projector was looping the venue's default ad slideshow, summer elopement packages with 20% off catering. I logged off the live stream the same way I'd logged out of the family group chat 3 weeks earlier, quietly, completely, with one final message left on read. I really thought that would be it. Spoiler alert. It wasn't. The next morning, my phone exploded. Missed calls. Voicemails. A barrage of texts from numbers I hadn't saved since college. One bridesmaid sent a voice memo that started with sobbing, transitioned into yelling, then circled right back to sobbing. A groomsman texted, honestly? Iconic. But the real storm came from my mom. She didn't call right away. Oh no. Denise waited until the smoke cleared. She needed time to rehearse her monologue. And when she finally did call, it wasn't to ask how I was doing. It wasn't to ask why. It wasn't concern. It was accusation. Your little stunt ruined the wedding. Your sister might be getting divorced. Are you proud of yourself? I didn't answer. While all that was going down, I was busy making coffee and updating every single one of my banking passwords. But let's backtrack for a second and talk about the divorce, because yeah, that happened. Turns out, the morning after the wedding, Logan packed a bag and left a handwritten note that simply read, "I don't want a life where I'm the punchline." He moved in with his brother and wiped every wedding photo off his Instagram. Gone. Like it never happened. Jasmine, in true dramatic fashion, posted a grainy black and white selfie with the caption, "Sometimes love means letting go." No one liked it. Not even our mom. A week later, Jasmine texted me, "You destroyed the best day of my life. You'll never know what that feels like." Which, honestly, was hilarious. Because technically, I built the best day of her life. She just didn't like how it looked once the house lights came on and the fantasy peeled away. I didn't answer. Instead, I quietly opened up the family's shared spreadsheet. Yes, we had one, and started scrubbing my name off every recurring charge. Car payment? Removed. Phone plan? Disconnected. Streaming services? Passwords changed. Utilities? Best of luck, sweetheart. For the first time in ages, I wasn't financing someone else's personality. Cue another call from my mom. "She's heartbroken, Rachel. This isn't the time to pull support." "What kind of sister does that?" "The unpaid kind," I said. Then hung up. Things spiraled pretty quickly after that. Turns out, Jasmine had built her entire lifestyle, manicures, meal kits, makeup hauls, on the assumption that I'd always be the ghost behind the swipe. Once that stopped, reality hit her like a bird slamming into a luxury glass coffee table she could no longer afford. She missed rent. Twice. Her landlord called me. I told him, very politely, to contact the person actually listed on the lease. Jasmine tried to start a crowdfunding campaign for her post-wedding reset. She raised $51. Half of that came from someone named Justice for Logan. Then came the meltdown. She uploaded an overfiltered, borderline theatrical rant on social media, something about betrayal, narcissistic siblings, and energy vampires. She even added a dramatic piano track under it, like she was auditioning for a sad docuseries on betrayal. My favorite part? She ended it with, "Some people are just born with black holes where their hearts should be." Then dropped a donation link. A week later, she moved back in with our parents. And I mean moved in. Fully. Bedroom. Bathroom. Ring light. All of it. They even had to unplug the treadmill to make space for her nightstand. That's when my parents really started to panic. Because the truth hit them, too. I hadn't just been Jasmine's safety net all these years. I'd been theirs. Quietly. Consistently. Stupidly. When Dad lost his job back in 2019, I covered the mortgage. When Mom's car gave out, I co-signed for the new one. When they forgot to budget for property taxes, I paid the bill. Not because I had to. Because I hoped that maybe one day, they'd stop treating me like the family intern with a PayPal account and start seeing me as a person. But after the wedding, I was done hoping. So when I told them I was cutting them off financially, my mom gasped like I'd just confessed to joining a doomsday cult. "You can't just stop helping your family," she said. "Actually," I replied, "I can." And I just did. They threatened to take legal action. They said they'd tell everyone I hacked the slideshow. They even claimed I owed them emotional damages. Which was rich, considering I'd been racking up emotional trauma for years like an unpaid intern trapped in a toxic HR department. Eventually, they started calling around, reaching out to aunts, uncles, cousins. Rachel went rogue. She ruined Jasmine's wedding out of jealousy. She's unstable. She's always struggled to share the spotlight. But here's the thing about extended family in the digital age. They have internet access. And I had receipts. Uncut. Time-stamped. Documented. So I sent out a Dropbox link titled "Full Wedding Files" for transparency. The fallout was immediate. The narrative collapsed. Even Grandma June called and said, "Well, that was dramatic. But fair." Jasmine never spoke to me again. Not directly. But she did try to send me a request on XAL4 for partial damages. I declined. Added a note, this user is no longer available. Fast forward 6 months. My parents filed for bankruptcy. Turns out supporting a full-grown influencer with a soap opera vendetta, not cheap. And yes, don't ask, soap operas were somehow involved. Jasmine started a podcast. She called it The Reframe. You literally can't make this stuff up. She has 14 subscribers and 3 one-star reviews, all from former bridesmaids. As for me, I moved into a new apartment. Top floor. No roommates. No Jasmine. No surprise charges. I started freelancing full-time and built my own consulting business. One of my first clients found me through a tweet that said, "Whoever made that wedding slideshow is my personal hero." I printed it out and hung it above my desk. But the best part? Peace. Not forgiveness. Not reconciliation. Not closure. Just peace. The kind that warms your chest like fresh coffee on a quiet morning. The kind you don't need to explain to anyone. The kind that doesn't come with drama, spreadsheets, or damage control. Just silence. And choice. And the clarity to understand that when people show you what you mean to them, you can believe them. And then you can leave. Anyway, that's the story. Did I go too far? Or maybe not far enough? Let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely curious where folks draw the moral line these days. And whether I stomped across it in heels, or just tiptoed to the edge with a slideshow remote in hand. Oh, and if you've ever been the designated family sponsor, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. No slideshow required.